Iphigenia Pheakos is a Toronto-based illustrator and designer. She creates vibrant children's books as one half of Muddy Stories, a small publishing company she started with her best friend. And Iphigenia joins me to chat all about it. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks
so happy to be here on the show.
Thank you for joining me today. So Muddy Stories is a company that you started with your best friend, Amanda. Yeah. Tell me about how it all came to be.
Absolutely. So Muddy Stories came to be, basically Amanda and I have always been, obviously very close best friends growing up. We went to school together in elementary school. And one of our funny little passions, I guess, we had as kids is running around playing with mud in the playground. And this is where we kind of decided that we're like a little bit different than everyone else. And this is how we really bonded as friends. So beginning of the pandemic, we actually decided to put our two talents together. So Amanda is a school teacher and she's also a writer. And I dabbled in a lot of illustrating growing up and I loved painting and drawing as a kid. So she was like, I'm gonna write a story. Why don't you illustrate it? And I said, okay, let's do it. So our book came to be first, and then we decided to kind of create kind of an avenue to distribute this book and to kind of create something more than just one book. So this is where Muddy Stories came to be. So Muddy Stories for us is like a small publishing house, you can say. We want to use Muddy Stories as a way to kind of back other books, other projects that we want to do. And it is pretty much where we keep all of our books. It's our itinerary, basically, where all our books live. And we started with one and we're working on our second right now. So actually the inspiration of our story, What Spring Will Bring, the lead character is named Easton and he's a little bear. And that's actually my nephew's name. So when he was born in March of 2020, we really wanted to have this story completed for basically his birthday. So the story is inspired by him as a little, newcomer into the world. And so our first book, What Spring Will Bring, from Muddy Stories, we created basically because of Easton.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. And so with this being the first book, tell me a little bit more about what it was like working together and creating it and planning it all.
It was, so Amanda had this idea first to create the book. And when she has an idea, she just really goes with it, which I love. So we sat down and, we're so close as friends, but to sit down in a professional setting, and we had a Zoom call because this was deep in the pandemic, so we couldn't even see each other. So we had a Zoom call, we set it up. She said, this is my book, let's plan it out. And I actually, I'm going to show you this really rough, can you see?
I can see it, yeah.
Page by page of how we wanted the book to look. And it was a progression of very rough notes kind of coming together, and then your second draft. And your second draft is still very rough, but you have more of an idea of how you want to go. And then your third draft is more of like the hard line illustrations that I'll show you again. I have these, this is a different story, but these are more hard line illustrations. So you go from really rough notes to something like this. And then from there, you get into the actual painting part. And that was basically our transition from, stage one all the way into, printing. It was fun to work together. It was great. It was so collaborative. It was nice to get an author's visual understanding of what they really want on a page and be able to translate it. So that was, working with your best friend, it's great to be able to give them what they want as well. But it was easy. It was so much fun. Super, super collaborative.
And what was it like for you to see the book on bookshelves?
Oh, that was really emotional, very, very exciting, because the process to get it onto a shelf, an actual bookshelf in a bookstore, was tough. It was a lot of work behind the scenes. Amanda did a lot of that, running into different bookstores. So currently we're in 2 bookstores in Toronto. We're at Coles in the Beaches. And then we're also at a store called Moonbeam Books, which is in High Park. So those are our 2 stores that we have right now. And then we also have it all online. So it's on Amazon. You can buy it on Kohl's, on indigo.com. So it's all available there, and it's also available on our website.
What is it about children's books that make them a great outlet for you?
Oh, that's such a nice question. For me, they're just painting them. It's so vibrant. And I was really blessed with Amanda's story too, because she was so detail oriented in her, descriptions of what she wanted. So to be able to kind of bring that to life, it was just, it was awesome. Every single time I do something like this, my first book I actually did was for a friend of mine as a gift. So she wrote it and I illustrated it. And it was, a way to be able to do something, creatively and be able to really try to get these words onto paper in a colorful format. And for me, like a children's book can do that so well. And I love expressing, other people's writings and thoughts into paper and using beautiful colors to do so. So for me, I really, any books that I try to illustrate from here on out, I just want to kind of focus on the color aspect of it. And I want them to be bright and vibrant, because I think they're just, so saturated. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And you definitely achieved that with the first book.
Thank
Something
you.
I loved, because I want to learn a little bit more about you. Something I loved when reading your bio is that you are a jack of all trades by passion.
Yes.
I mean, where does that come from for you?
Well, oh goodness. It's, my family members are the same. So my boo is literally the same person that I am. So he does things all the time with like 100% passion. And I take a lot of that and I run with it. And, it's hard for me to pinpoint just a few things that I like to do. So I try to focus, on one and then get really good at it and then move on to the next one, but also like learn what I did from, the first thing and kind of continue growing as a person that way. And I feel like for me, like illustrating has been, such a great thing, because there's so much to learn when you're doing illustrating and painting and drawing, and really just starting to scratch the surface with what I can do with what I'm doing. And I'm just excited to learn more. But yeah, the passion, the passion aspect, if you don't do things with passion and heart, it's just like, why? That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boo is 100% that person, and like everybody I know is like that. So
yeah, it's an important thing to have, because that's what keeps you waking up every day, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So if you like what you're doing, and then also a lot of times, you'll be putting in some really, really long hours doing some stuff, and you sometimes your passion is when they drive you to complete it. For instance, with this book that we did, it was long hours and very short amount of time. So, some nights I was up for a long time just painting, and each page would take about 10 hours to paint. So it was the passion that really kept me, motivated to just complete it and move on even to the next one. So.
And I know that you mentioned before you both started this during the pandemic. So what was it like? What was it like building all of this during what was really kind of a really hectic time?
I went to school for interior design, which is a different complete ball game, but I was actually working at a restaurant during this time as a manager. So COVID hit, I was laid off, as a lot of people were. So during this transition period, I was like, what can I do to keep busy? And, when I keep busy, I really keep busy. I really get into things. So, the book really was a way to, spend some time. And the pandemic happened, and I was lucky to have a project to keep me busy. And, I know Amanda too was a teacher. So that was also kind of a weird period for teaching at that time. She was also very busy pivoting, as we all were, but the pandemic, luckily I was able to sit at my desk and just stay busy painting. So personally, during the couple of months that I was doing the book, I enjoyed myself, but I know there was a lot of stuff going on during that time. It was very scary. So I was happy to stay home and keep to myself, basically, but it was fine. Yeah.
And especially when it comes to building something like Muddy Stories, what piece of advice do you have for people who, have an idea or have a dream and want to make it a reality?
Put the time in, especially if it's something you're so interested in. I know Amanda's been talking about grading books forever. And I was just so happy to be able to kind of work with her on this together. If you have something you want to do, just go for it. It's like, put the time in, put the effort in. A lot of people have like a side hustle that they do. And that's, you got to do it. This is another thing. I juggle a lot of stuff because I know I have to do one thing, like go to my day job, but I know I also have my other passions as well that I want to kind of, explore and make sure I foster, because I enjoy it. It's just something that I like to do. And
And I feel if there's one thing that the pandemic has taught us as well, is to just go for things too, right?
For sure.
It's just taught us to just,
why not
erase fear, but just, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to say it was an opportunity, but the pandemic made you kind of shift your perspective on what's important, and then just kind of, follow through with it. So if you have something you want to do it. Just do it. Find some time. Even if it's a little bit a day, an hour, you have an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe, just do it. That's what I would.
Well, Iphigenia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And you can head over to muddystories.com for your copy of the book.